Spinning Circle. So we are back with another Money Moves, and we're wrapping up, closing in on the end of the year. So Christmas is past, and welcome, Wendy. We're talking about another Money Moves. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Did you?
Absolutely, always. Yeah.
Good.
Most wonderful time.
And I think they wrote a song about that somewhere, right? So I'm not sure, but it's coming to mind. But anyway, today, folks, we are going to be talking about your money mindset. If you're not getting wealthy, if you're not building wealth, it has nothing to do with how much money you have or how much money you make each year at your job, right? It all has to do with your money mindset. And so we're going to talk about that as we're heading into 2023. I want to make sure you guys are thinking about that. So reach out to your friends, say, hey, John and Wendy, you're getting ready to get started on Money Moves, talking about how to change your mindset to build wealth. And we'll get started here in just a few seconds. I don't know, Wendy, we may have to keep that intro around for 2023 too. It's just, every time I watch it, I tell you, I think of Gladiator, because we're out there showing people how to conquer their money mindsets, the bad ones, and build true wealth. So good stuff. So welcome back, everybody. We're talking about money mindset today and the difference between the poor money mindset, the middle-class money mindset, and the rich money mindset, right? And talking about how that can impact you, and you may not even know it. I don't know. Wendy, have you ever felt frustrated about, man, I'm killing it. I seem to be doing great, making money, but it just doesn't seem to be doing anything for. I have. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a journey. I never had a moment that I shifted completely, like from a crappy money mindset to top of the world, but it's been a progression. One of the first books I ever read that really started to change my perspective was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Which I'm sure we'll talk more about here. And then most recently, I listened to a book called Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And that was the first time it really clicked that, like, where the messed upness of my money mindset came from. And I think part of it is identifying, like, why you think the way you do, and then you're able to change it.
Well, and that's exactly right. I mean, I grew up a poor kid. I've shared that story before. And so I have that poor kid mentality of, I gotta hoard cash or whatever, just in case. But, you do that and it's not, it's not good, because you're not out there really making things happen, and you operate from a place of fear. And like you said, it's a progression, right? Just like, you're getting healthier or doing whatever, or reading more, or whatever the case may be. Getting healthy, hey, I'm trying to get in better shape than this, any other, but I'm walking by a box of Krispy Kremes, one won't hurt, right? And so you backslide. And money's the same way, right? But like you said, it's really all about understanding your money mindset and where that came from. Okay. So let's look at, the way people look at money. Okay. So let's talk about poor people. And, I'm not going to define what poor is. If you think you're poor, you're poor. But I guarantee there's somebody poorer than you are. And if you think you're rich, I guarantee there's somebody richer than you are. So it's all relative. But looking at that poor money mindset, poor people look at the primary focus of money, of, that income and things like that, as to what? It's to pay their bills. They're living for the weekend. They're not really, pushing to get ahead. And that also impacts their thermostat. If they look at money as, okay, it's just to pay bills, and they're making enough to pay their bills, well, guess what?
Why make more?
Yeah, they make it work. And there's really not, hey, I've got the weekend off, I'm going to go fishing, or whatever the case may be, or, watch TV or hang out with my buddies, work on my car, over the weekend, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not talking the one-offs. I'm talking like, what are you doing with that extra time and things like that. But you look at that, and that's why they're never really getting ahead. And, they may be excellent people. I know a lot of people that, aren't wealthy at all, that are fantastic people. And it has nothing to do with being a good person or bad person. Money does not make you evil. It's not the root of all evil. Money is a magnifying glass. It's going to make awesome people more awesome, and it's going to make horrible people even more horrible, right? But you look at that, that's that money mindset. They look at it as, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to work, and I'm going to spend it all to pay my bills. So I know I'm covered. And then the rest of my time is mine. I'm going to do whatever I want with it, was relax and, enjoy whatever, that's the kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, you want to add anything to that? Or do you see that or?
Yeah. I mean, well, and it's the live for now, I think, mentality too.
Yeah.
Cause I've known people that make a lot of money that are like, make decent money that are still poor. Like, because of that mindset. Doesn't mean they don't never get money. It means when they get it, it's gone. Right? Yeah. Like they don't keep any of it.
Well, and that's part of it. And a lot of that, kind of shifting over to that next level, you look at middle class, and, I can relate to that because I came from being poor to, I need to have more money. So I can go out and, look and buy and have a nicer lifestyle. Right. I wanted to move out of a trailer, that we were in a trailer when I was a kid for a period, and I didn't want to do that as an adult. So, now I have a house. But you look at, again, it's that money mindset. Middle class, we're taught and we figured out, okay, we think the solution of the problem is to what? Is to make more money.
Make money.
Right. And, this money mindset, and I've heard it said, I think we talked about it a little bit, maybe last week or something like that, where it's, you could take all the money in the world. And this is, again, side note why socialism doesn't work. Take all the money in the world and redistribute it evenly to everybody. Everybody gets the same amount, right? You give it less than a decade, all that money is going to go back to where it was. Wealthy people are going to be wealthy again. The middle class will be right there where they're at, and the poor people will be poor again. And it all goes back to understanding how money works and what you think the primary goal for money is.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a big light bulb moment. My son is actually listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad. And in there, he talks about that. And Matthew Koenig is like, oh my gosh, Mom, did you know that if we divided up all the wealth, it would go back? He's like, that makes so much sense. And, to him, it was this light bulb moment of like seeing even the difference in the mindsets of the kids that he's friends with now. Yeah. Right. Like the ones that are handed everything and don't take responsibility for anything, the ones that struggled, the ones that, have that entrepreneur mind. So he's like, I can already tell you, Mom, I feel like I could already look at people and tell you who's going to be set up for success and who's not. Yeah.
I mean, the kids that are handed everything, it's great now, but when they get later in life as adults, they're going to struggle. And the reason is they didn't go through those struggles. They don't have that money mindset of going out and making it. So going back to what I was talking about with middle class, and by the way, you see this, if you think that, oh, that's not true, John, about the whole distributed evenly, it is true. And you see it all the time with people who win lotteries. Yeah. Or people that get famous either through athletics, like they become a pro whatever in sports, right? Or musicians, right? While the money's coming in, everything's great, right? And they're bringing a lot of their friends along. I'm thinking MC Hammer, right? That guy had more money than everybody, and he's broke as a joke now because he had his entire posse. He was, as fast as he could make it, he was spending it. And when the money dried up, guess what happened? He lost everything, right? Because he didn't understand what the primary purpose of money was. His thought was, I'm going to pay my bills and I'm going to bring all my guys with me and I'm going to pay their bills. Yep. And that's what happened. So jumping over to middle class, because I want to be sensitive to the time, middle class understands or thinks they understand that the primary focus of money is what? To build credit. And a lot of you are thinking, what? Wait a minute. No, you're not. That's not what we do. It's exactly what middle class does. Think about it. We go out, we make a good wage, and 9 times out of 10, I don't care if you're making $70,000 a year, $170,000, you're spending just as much as you're making. And the reason is you want to have that good credit, and you go out and buy things that you can't afford, and you pay it off over time. Okay, that's what we look at. And we spend, every month we're meeting with clients, right? Talking about budgeting and spending plans and things like that. And it always comes down to, what's your monthly payment on your car? What's your monthly payment on your house? What's your monthly payment on your boat? What's your monthly payment on X and Y and Z? And that's what we think of when we're looking at this stuff. So we use that money to go out to buy things we can't afford. And the reason we're using that money is to get good credit so we can go out and leverage bank money. We pay a premium for that. And then we pay that stuff back over time. So we'll actually pay 2 or 3 times what that car's worth. Now, I know the last couple of years we've had cheap access to money. Those days are gone now. You know, that 2% car note is now 7%,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you start thinking about that. And when I heard this, and we talk a lot about money, and it's not because we're greedy. It's because we want to understand it and we want to teach you, the viewer, on how this stuff works. And we've talked about build your money team. We've talked about, having mentors and things like that. I had a mentor Scott out in Arizona. I've known the guy for, probably 30 years now. He was one of my early mentors early on, and he's very successful. And I'm constantly like, okay, I want to hang around these guys because I'm going to learn something from them. I know a lot more than I did back in the day, but I'm still learning. Scott shared this epiphany with me. I'm like, you're right. We've got to do a video on this. And so shout out to Scott out in Phoenix. But you look at this stuff, and it's so frustrating because we see this every day when we're working with middle class, right? And that's exactly what it is. We see people with great incomes, but after they pay their bills and their taxes, at the end of the month, they've got this little bit left over because they want to have the appearance of being more successful they are. They want to buy things that they truly can't afford, and they finance it over time.
Yup, guilty.
Me too, right?
Yeah.
Me too. And it's like, wow, when I looked at that, and now again, money mindset, folks, is a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that hopefully you can learn it sooner rather than later. And I see a lot of young entrepreneurs and stuff like that. They're in the millennial, group. They're the rarities, not the common, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, different ways to earn money and things like that, and different ways to grow your money. Okay. And shifting over to rich people, that's exactly what they look at money as. Their primary, when they look at money, they don't see it as something to buy stuff with. They don't see it as something to pay bills with. I mean, they pay their bills, don't get me wrong. But what they see it as is a way to make more money. That's the primary goal of $100 bill in your pocket, is to go out and make $200, right? Take those $200 bills, put them in a little box together, turn the lights down low, right? Put a little Barry White on. Hopefully you come back the next day and there's $400 bills, right? Doesn't quite work like that, right? But that's what they look at money as. They don't look at it as, okay, man, I just made all this money. Let's go out and buy something.
Right.
They may buy something as a secondary or tertiary kind of bonus to themselves, but the primary use of money is to go back out and make more money.
Multiply it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that. So how do I do that? Well, maybe you reinvest in your business. Maybe you go out and acquire another business. Okay. Maybe you invest it, right? In the market or what like that. We help people with that all the time. Okay, well, and how do I protect it so I don't lose my money? Because you want to have the same amount of money you start with. You want to always keep that.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to double it. Just like, and I see this all the time. I go out to Vegas. I'm not a gambler, but I hang out with some guys that gamble, and they'll walk in and sit down at the table with $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever. And then once they start, they start winning, they pull that $5,000 off the table. Okay. And they'll keep playing with their winnings. So they're playing with the house money. That's the way you want to look at building your wealth too, is, okay, I've got my assets here. I want to figure out a way to protect that, but I want to keep growing that money, not spending it. So
yeah, just a thought. This just came to me. But I think too, the difference, the one thing I've learned, wealthy people, what they measure and what they track is not their income versus expenses. They track their net worth.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's where a big shift can come to and that's a goal that I have, not a goal. It's something I've said that I'm now going to do starting in 2023, is quarterly track my net worth. And my goal is to continually increase that and never decrease it.
Yeah. And that right there is what I was talking about when I've got this amount of money, right? It may not be cash, but it's assets, right? Your net assets, net.
Right.
Okay. And so, and that's exactly what you want to do. And I think that's beautiful. And I would encourage everybody watching this video to do the same thing. I don't care that you've got a 700 BMW, right? A 700 series, especially if you owe more than it's worth, or if you're leasing at it, you don't even own the damn thing. You're renting it. And so, you may look rich, but you're not, because it doesn't impact your net worth that you were just talking about. And that's what people, I want to have assets, not look like I'm doing well. Okay. And that's one of the things that once you get to that point, and I've had friends of mine that tell me, once you get to a certain age, you just don't give a crap anymore what people think. You need to do that with your money too. Right. I'm like, I don't care. It's not that you should be bothered by other people's opinions of what you're doing, you should be bothered by the fact that that bothers you.
Mm.
And so, that's one of the things that once you, again, this is all just a journey, folks. So just to recap, as we're closing here, poor people look at money as what? The primary focus is to pay your bills and then live for the weekend. Middle class use money. The primary focus of money is for what? To build credit, to leverage that to go out and buy things they can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not really increasing assets. You're increasing what? Debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And wealthy people, rich people look at using money. The primary focus is to make more money, to build real wealth, generational wealth. Those are the three money mindsets. So I would challenge each of you. And if you're watching this video, chime in below on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. But I would challenge each of you to really take a deep look as we're going into 2023 and doing some goal setting on what you think your money mindset is. And I would love for you to share it. But again, awesome stuff, Wendy. Thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for watching. Got a little catch in my throat. But focus on what your money mindset is and make a point to change it or improve it in 2023. So everybody have a great day. Thanks for coming. And Winnie, as always, hope you had a Merry Christmas. And here's to a rockin' 2023.
Absolutely.